Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the 4 Train Express. I am your boy, the 4 Train Express. Hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone's doing good. Let me do a quick roll call before we get started with everything. Aiden, what's up, man? MLB channel, what's going on? Jonathan is always early as usual. JJ. Who else we got in here? Sean Browning, CWE. Let's see who else we got. FL Diver. Let's see who else we got. Looks like that was everyone. But thank you guys for coming in tonight. Chris Schmidt, what's going on? Benji, Brad, Dane. I'll get you that right now. Give me 1 second, bud. Hope you guys are doing all right. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. We got a lot to discuss tonight. So once you give me just 1 second, we'll get started with that. Hey, Dane, go ahead and check your X. Donald, what's going on? David, what's going on? So tonight I'm going to have a few people come up with me. We got a lot to talk about. First off, there's a lot that's been going on, from different rumors to different things that have been reported. So from Snell to Stroman, all the way to, Bieber and Luzardo. So we've got a bunch of things that have been going on and have been rumored. And when I get a couple of my guests coming up tonight, I will ask them what their thoughts on it are. And here is one of them right now.
What up?
Hey, how's it going, man? How you feeling? How's everything going?
Good. Excited to talk some Yankees off season. So
no, it's been a bit.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, there's a lot that's been rumored, a lot of talk going on with the Yankees and asking prices. So let's start off with the asking price portion of it, because I feel like that's probably the most important thing that's been going on. So we know the White Sox have pitching, the Marlins have pitching, the Yankees have bats, which is what both need.
Yes.
The White Sox have been asking for Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez in a Dylan Cease trade, and the Marlins have been asking for Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez or one or the other for a Jesus Luzardo.
Chicago topped themselves. They asked for both.
Oh, well, then they asked for both then. That's even worse.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the asking price of Chicago and Miami? Because to me, it's outrageous that you would – I mean, I get it. They have to sell their players high. That is what a team is supposed to do. But I don't think they are worth a Jason Dominguez or even a Spencer Jones.
No, not to me. But I'm a prospect guy, so I tend to be a little bit of a hugger. I'll admit that. But more than the asking price for those guys, my concern with getting Cease is you're bringing him in for an astronomical price. If the rumored Jones, Hampton, Pereira, Peraza package is somewhat legit, you're doing it and you're hoping he's getting better.
Yeah, I don't know how you can trade a haul for a guy that's got 2 years of control left, has only had one great year, and they're asking for the world. And again, I understand they have to sell their guys high. This is what their job is. They're supposed to sell their guys to the highest possible point, and that's what they're doing. But I think eventually they're going to have to come back to reality and come back to the planet Earth and for that asking price. because if you remember, the Orioles had called them up about Dylan Cease, and they
Uh-huh.
got Jackson Holiday, and the Orioles laughed at them and hung up the phone.
Well, neither Jones or Dominguez is Jackson Holiday as much as we might wish, but
Yeah.
Look, those guys. Dylan Cease is a bit of a project still. He's not worth that kind of package to me.
No.
He's not. He's good for 32 starts and around 200 strikeouts.
Yep.
But the ERA is mostly around 4. So we're hoping that he's going to come here and get better.
I don't know. I that's what I'm not understanding is why you would pay that for someone that you're hoping is going to get better when we already have a problem with Rodon being hurt and not sure what we're going to get out of him. So I don't understand that at all. But
if I'm giving up somebody like Jones or Hampton or Jones and Hampton, I want something more of a guarantee back. I mean, I would consider trading one of them for Corbin Burnes if he was available. But I don't know.
yeah. And then the Marlins are saying that they want Dominguez and Jones for Jesus Luzardo, which again doesn't make sense. This is not to discredit what they've done or their ability, but he's not worth that. It's
no. Well,
he's not.
You gotta. He had a big jump in innings last year.
Yep.
So his value jumped a whole bunch.
Yeah.
In the trade calculators that people are fond of using. I don't know. I don't see the value being worth 2 top prospects, much less. I don't know. That's just a huge ask for anybody, for Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones.
Yeah. And just a quick shout out to the chat. Rob, what's going on? Stephen B, what's going on? Jake, what's going on? Rob of the Pinstripe Chronicles makes a good point. Sign Snell because it seems like there's something going on there where the Yankees have interest in him. He's got interest in them. And trade for Cabrera or trade for Bieber and Cabrera. But either way, getting Cabrera's got to be your priority.
Oh,
in my eyes, Cabrera is the money pitcher that you get this offseason if you can get him.
I would agree with that. The price is a little more in line with what we're realistically going to give up and not affect us long term.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Cabrera is he's 25. He has 5 years of control left, which, mind you, is huge because that's taking him through up until 29 when he would become a free agent.
Uh-huh.
We would get him through his prime years, or at least to the end of his prime.
Mm-hmm.
And he could slot in either behind Rodon or in front of Rodon, wherever they decide to put him, depending on what they do with Snell.
Well, yeah, I think Snell is starting to make a whole lot more sense. I was against that originally in the offseason. That's starting to make a lot more sense.
Yep.
And if you bring in Snell, I don't know, what's the money you offer him?
I mean, from what he has said, he wants a deal that's going to be over $200 million. And of course, he's got Boris to make that argument for him. So I would do, if it's me with the Yankees, I would do 6 years, 190 with an option for a 7th for another 20 with an opt out after the 4th.
You think you'd take it?
I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the deal, the option would be the player option. So it would get him. So if he took, let's say he took that option and decided not to opt out after that 4th year, right?
Right.
That deal will go to 210 million, which is over what he wanted.
Okay. I don't know. I would prefer to see him on a shorter deal than that. It scares me to give that many years to somebody who has shown real consistency.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
No, I you've got a good point on that. And I guess the next thing would be Stroman, because he's another pitcher that, has been spoken about. And he actually went to the Yankees and told them that he wanted
Can I address this? CWE about Jones. You keep Jones until you know what Stanton looks like. And if Stanton doesn't get any better this season, they got to get rid of him, and Jones goes to center field.
Yeah.
Love Jason Dominguez, best prospect in the system. He's not a better center fielder than Spencer Jones ever.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're good. I agree with that. I was going to say, then you've got Marcus Stroman, who said to the Yankees he was serious about coming to the Yankees and signing a deal with them, and the Yankees literally turned around and said, "No, go get fucked."
Yeah. Look, did we really have any interest in Marcus Stroman?
No, we had no interest in him. There was never any talk of him having having the Yankees having any interest in him after what happened with the whole, because that they've always had some form of bad blood, from what I understand. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Okay.
What do you think of Monty wanting 172?
I like it. There is some news though that just broke.
Teoscar.
Yep. Teoscar to the Dodgers on a 1-year, $23.5 million contract.
That's a win now move.
Reported by Jeff Passan.
That's a win now move.
Yep, that is a win now move.
And did you see the Trevor Bauer interview?
I did.
Change your mind?
I think with Trevor Bauer, I don't know if I would necessarily want to give him a shot just because of the chaos it could create. And now that we got rid of all that bad, drama from Hicks and Donaldson, I don't know if I would want to do that and mess that chemistry up.
What's up, Hirsch?
What's up, Hirsch? Do I think he'll get a shot in the big leagues? Yeah, I do. I think someone will give him a shot. I just don't think it's going to be the Yankees. What do you think?
I'm kind of torn now. I don't know. If he's really willing to take $3 million, that would be a hard thing not to be interested in.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. I think Snell is the most likely move, honestly. And then I think they'll go get. Look, if Bieber falls into their lap, that would be the ideal winter.
Absolutely. But my only issue, though, with Bieber is his injury history. That's
right. But his mechanics have been bad for a while. And Matt Blake is basically the one that built him.
Okay.
So if Blake built him, he can fix him.
That's fair. Give me 1 second. And we have Uncle Tats with us. If the wheel of death decides to stop spinning.
Uncle Tats, how are you, sir?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Sorry, I'm so.
Oh boy! So we were just talking a little bit about some of the asking prices for some of these pitchers that we are being linked to. By the way, if you didn't know, Teoscar Hernandez just signed a 1-year, $23.5 million deal with the Dodgers.
Yeah, no, I was watching while I was waiting for my computer to catch up to all the internet delays with the weather. But no, it's like Dane said, that's a win now move.
Yeah, that is a win now move.
But he wasn't anybody that was on our radar anyway.
No.
So it's not like, we missed out on somebody else.
Yeah, no.
It is what it is.
But we were just talking, Dane and I were just talking about some of the names that we've been linked to and some of the asking prices, which, in my opinion, are absolutely obscene. And it's insanity that you would ask for Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez for a guy who's not even considered an ace on any other staff. Maybe one or two staffs, but on a team like the Dodgers or the Yankees, he would be a 3 or 4. What are your thoughts on it?
I think at this point it's not the matter. I don't think it's so much the names anymore. It's the price. They'll fit in when they can, where they can, and when they can. Whether they're just rotation depth or if it's a number 2, a number 4, a 5-starter, it's going to vary. But it's going to come down to these pitchers are making so much freaking money this year. But that's the demand. There's a high demand for pitching, and they're getting paid for that. And teams are going to have to overpay for a lot of the guys that they want.
Yep. Dane had brought up a contract offer for Monty. What was your? I wanted your opinion. It was what, 6 for $157? You said.
No, he wants 6 $172 or better.
Okay,
and
so what did you?
I don't think that he's worth that. Do you?
I think 172.
With the market right. Yeah, that'd be a max I would give him.
For Monty, who's going to be 32.
But it's also the market. That's what I'm saying.
Which is, and it's not even that Yamamoto fucked the market. It was Nola. Because if you remember, Nola was the first pitcher off the board. And
that's what Monty has said, is he wants better than the Nola contract.
Yeah, that's about the 6 for $172 is about a little over $28 a year.
Yeah.
Which for a guy, a lefty guy, you could put him, you could really fluctuate through your rotation. When he's on his game, he's a number 2 type guy. He's had bursts through the season where he's like a 4. But he's also coming off a World Series win.
He is.
So that does increase his value.
And it's something.
If Monty was never with the Yankees and he had the year that he did going into, I think that we have kind of, rose-colored glasses on because he was with us. We saw the good and the bad for Monty.
Yeah.
But if he was never in the organization before this, we'd be looking at those numbers a little differently. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't pay Monty that much. I just don't think he's that. I mean, great guy, but to me, he is a good 3. And we got the news today that Roki Sasaki is coming this winter. He does, in fact, have that clause in his contract, and he is for sure coming. So you got to, if you're looking at long term, do we want something on a 1-year deal like Bieber so we can chase Sasaki, or do we want to sign a long-term deal?
It's a good question.
If you're able to get somebody on a 1-year deal, I think you'd do it and ride out the market for the trade deadline or the next off season. because every offseason the market resets itself.
Right.
The problem that we're having is the contracts that the Dodgers gave to Ohtani and Yamamoto.
Yep.
That just jacked everybody else's price up. Because you're paying somebody, Ohtani got his contract when he's only half a player right now.
Yep.
And Yamamoto got the money that he did, as good as his resume is. And I don't think anybody's debating that, arguing that he's worth the money, but he's still unproven in the league.
Yeah.
Even though we were willing to give him a high value, without a proven red track record, it's going to be one of those. Everybody, like, the prices just went up.
Yeah.
Who was Montaz got what, 16 million?
Yep.
And
a third in 1 year. Yeah, it's crazy how it's spiraling out.
The Mets just paid Sean Manaea $14 million a year for 2 years.
They also paid Severino $13 million. And Severino barely pitched last year.
I guess they're serious about not competing next year. They weren't lying to Scherzer to get him out of town.
No. It's crazy. And this is where it gets nuts. Is now you see guys like Snell who want over $200 million for a contract, which for a 31-year-old, I mean, you can give him that, but is it really worth that kind of a risk?
Not to me, but
I'm with you on that. I don't think it's worth that risk.
Would you do 6/180 on him?
I would do 6, 180, 190, but that's it. But he gets that option. But we also have the opt-out after the 4th to kind of protect ourselves from him completely falling apart.
What about you, Uncle Taz?
I think the value's there. I think it's more. I'm and crazy enough, LA had pointed it out on the upper deck this morning. It's a lot of these contracts are going to depend on when and where the opt-outs are structured into the deals, whether it's a player or a team option. I think it's going to get more creative into that aspect. And if you're able to put a player option or team option in the right year of a deal, that might offset the risk of the team having to put the money up.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially like the player options. Those were the incentives for that were players that were sold on were in a winning state of mind. And if they weren't able to fill their obligation, the team had the option. The player had the option to go back into the market and get on another winning team. And the team options are there in the structure. So if a player is not living up to the hype or the potential, that they can opt out and put him back into the market and not have to absorb all the financial risk on an extended deal. So I think that is the remainder of this offseason. That's what's going to come into play.
Gentlemen.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Happening, guys? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good. It takes me forever to put my daughters to bed sometimes.
No worries.
One likes to sleep, the other one doesn't go to sleep, so it takes forever.
You hear the latest news?
What's that?
Dodgers signed Teoscar Hernandez to a 1-year, $23.5 million deal.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Added another bat?
Jeff Passan broke it, and then it's on MLB Trade Rumors.
So should we hand them the World Series trophy yet? No. Period. Good for them. I mean, good for them. Like you said yesterday, like they've only pretty much addressed pitching so far. They needed to address the bat, right? So
now they got one bat of what, 2 that they need?
You got him and who else? Manuel Margot. So
yeah, but he's going to play center for them, I think.
all right, where's
I
Teoscar?
like what Rob said here. Give Snell 6 for 180 with an opt-out after year 3. I like it. I think that's more than fair for Blake Snell.
I would do that for him at this point rather than giving Monty the contract that he wants.
Let me ask you guys this too. I was talking about Snell this morning, and I think the best way to, if you're going to sign him, the best thing to do aside from signing him is creating that buffer in long relief for him. Because I don't really worry about his character or ability to handle New York. I worry about his ability to be durable and consistent, right? So if you have guys like Nestor Cortez in long relief or Luis Hill in long relief, it creates that buffer so that a contract like that doesn't become an albatross on the back end because you're protecting him from day one. So what do you guys think of that?
I really like Hill in that role. I like Clayton Beater better. I think that is a perfect role for Beater to take that 2 to 3 inning spot. I think that's what his pitch package is best suited for. But I agree that having a buffer of somebody like that would be a added bonus for Snell. Absolutely.
Because he's he's 2-time Cy Young winner. So he's the premium guy in the free agent market, right? There's no doubt about that. But what's the biggest concern? Consistency and ability to give length, right? So if you can get 30 games of 5 to 6 innings a pop, and then have a long relief buffer in there when you need it, it'd probably be a more a safer way to keep him healthy. Because obviously we want prime Snell, we want peak Snell, right? If he came here,
Yeah.
So I think that it would be a wise idea for them to create that fortress of protection around him, and the other guys too, the other guys as well.
Absolutely. So Dane, Jonathan brought up Clayton Beater. Do you see him as someone that could replace King's role?
Yes, a different kind of pitcher, very, very different kinds of pitchers, but he could be someone who filled that role. Yes.
So I guess then let's just say for all intents and purposes, Yankees signed Snell. Okay, they signed to a 6-year deal. It's going to be, let's say they give him the deal that Rob proposed: 6 years, 180, opt out after 3. We all know Boris likes opt outs for his clients, so they can test the market again. Then let's say you get Snell. Do you go and you pivot and try and still make a deal with Miami, or do you go and see if you can get someone from Seattle? Any one of you guys can start and then throw it over to the next person.
I still think that Miami's the key to the offseason. I do. Because we're still going to, we have an influx of infielders, and they have an influx of pitching. And if we're able to find the right package to kind of swap some of our prospects that could fit the bill right now, you have to do it. With Snell, I actually like the idea of Snell possibly becoming, a long man near the end of his deal.
Yeah.
So I think that is a healthy option for him because he's not an innings eater. I think the role right now for this year should go to Cortez. The innings become an issue for him, and if you need him as your 5/5/6 starter, where you don't have to really rely on him for a lot of innings, we have the bullpen. I know we don't want to put a lot of pressure on the bullpen because they've been under a lot of pressure the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. But with the right arms in the rotation, it will lessen the stress. And another way that they're going to lessen the stress on the arms is that we actually have a formidable offense coming into the season. Yeah, health always an issue or a question mark.
And to your point,
but we didn't have Soto backing up Judge last year. Now we do. Yeah. So you have to anticipate we're going to have that much more run support for the pitching. They don't have to be perfect every inning, because if they give up a run, you're not panicking if the offense is going to carry the weight.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Soto, Verdugo, even Grisham to a degree. These are a healthy Rizzo. These are guys that can assist into the run support that we didn't have last year. So it's going to make the pitching a lot more at ease. So I don't think the innings are going to be that big of an issue going into the season.
And to your point, you asked about Nestor Cortez. Like, this is one of the main reasons he got hurt this year. The dramatic increase in innings, right? He went from his innings pitched by like 80 or 90 innings. That's a huge increase. And he was on the IL 3 times this year. Guess who also had an increase of 80+ innings? Jesus Luzardo this past year. Went up by 80 innings. So has Braxton Garrett. So I worry about that upward transition, because Luzardo's got 3 years of control. And I worry that the Marlins are asking for a ransom, trying to walk away from this guy and get a haul, and they can just move on from this guy. Because he's had elbow problems before. If he gets hurt, he's somebody else's problem. So, which goes back to what Mike and I have been talking about, is Edward Cabrera, a bigger, stronger guy, and he's only been throwing about 100 innings. You can gradually work him up over the next 5 years if you want, and not have to worry about that dramatic increase in innings. That's why I worry about Luzardo and Braxton Garrett.
So then, in that case, let's say we do get Snell. You call Miami. Do you try to get Cabrera and a reliever, or do you just try to get Cabrera?
She used to hang out with this guy that went to school here. He lives in New York now. Danny Burke.
From Miami? Depends on what you're giving up. I mean, I would like Cabrera and a reliever. Depends on what you're giving up.
So if you're just getting Cabrera and you're giving up a Pereira, you could give up what's his name?
Peraza.
Not Peraza, Oswaldo Cabrera, because he can play all over. It could help him out. You've got Oswaldo Cabrera, Pereira. You could give him Peraza, but I don't know if you want to do that. Maybe give him Torres instead to try to sweeten that deal a little bit.
I think they're going to want the young, controllable pieces, because Miami's cheap. So you
can give him Tyler Hardman.
Could, but I think Peraza is probably going to be the guy they're going to want to go after. He's doing middle infield. So, and he's an elite glove, and he's got the year of control, the extra year of control. So he's got added trade value now. So, I mean, there's only probably 2 teams that I would trade Peraza for. It'd be the Marlins, or maybe 3 teams: the Mariners and the Brewers for Corbin Burnes. So, and Burnes, I mean, if you think about it, every guy that the Yankees are looking to trade for is either a pre-arb or an arb pitcher. So we're going to know more on Friday once these arbitration figures have to be filed on Friday. So we'll know where every team stands and where everybody that we're looking to trade for is going to cost. So, which will give the Yankees more data in terms of what wiggle room they need. Now, maybe don't worry about the wiggle room now that Hal's apparently given the green light to spend again. Yep. But with that said, it might change people's demands in a trade package. Yeah. If a guy like one of these guys, Luzardo, is going to be cheaper than thought, they might ask for more in a trade.
I forgot they also need a catcher.
Need a catcher too. So the Yankees could
instead of doing Cabrera in that deal, you could do Peraza Pereira, and then whenever my thing decides to pull up, I can.
Narvaez is an option.
Narvaez,
trade him out.
Give them Narvaez, and I mean you could even try to. I mean you could try to give him Cabrera, but Narvaez, Pereira, and Peraza would probably be the 3 that I would say would be headlining that deal. Because they need a catcher, they need an infielder, and then they could use some outfielders as well. They need, they need to give a couple guys a break.
Yeah, and I think the Yankees are going to move 1 or 2 catchers this offseason in separate moves. So They've
Well,
got
they already moved one in Higgy to San Diego.
Yep.
So maybe one of their prospect catchers like Narvaez is that second catcher they can.
Yeah, I mean, I would do Narvaez, Peraza, and probably Cabrera because Cabrera's got multi-positional versatility.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, Cabrera's got 5 years of service, so it probably would cost that much. And I think they would. I could be wrong. They might want Cabrera more than Pereira. So
This is an interesting one.
it's Cabrera's versatility. Peraza, mainly work bet on Narvaez for Cabrera.
And Tanner Scott.
Peraza came in work bet.
Wow. I would do that.
Yeah. That's. I mean, if you could do that, you could do that. That's worthwhile.
I don't have an issue with that actually, and if you give me 1 minute, I can tell you what. So Tanner Scott, that's an interesting piece because he was originally in the American League East with the Orioles, if you remember. So Tanner Scott is 29, but he would not be a free agent until after this year, I think. And he put up some pretty solid numbers last year. He had a 3.6 WAR, a 9-5 record with a 2.31 ERA.
How many innings pitched?
In 78 innings pitched, he walked 24 and struck out 104.
Could be a long relief guy too.
So that may not be a bad. That's not a bad piece to ask for if you're really looking to get, a reliever or a long man out of that deal. So I do like that. So Rob is saying it's basically a swap for. Here you go. It's basically a swap for 1 year right-handed pitchers, righty for lefty. Marlins have a ton of left-handed relief pitching. What are your thoughts on that?
It's intriguing for sure.
Yeah,
I would make the deal. I would pull the trigger on that. They have to do something. And it's not that they have to do just anything. That I think the patience of the whole thing is that they're remaining to be calculated about how they're making their moves.
Yes.
We also have some of these guys that these smaller guys that we just got off, wires or everything, that we could also flip for a deal and save our own guys.
Yeah.
That's always an option as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point. But what's your take on it, Jason?
I'm on the same page with Tats here again. And you get Cabrera's the get here. He's got 5 years of control. He's a big, strong arm in the starting, right? He's the get. Anything after him is icing on a cake. So you get a reliever like that who can give some value, and I think he's thrown enough innings pitched that they can use him. They could deploy him in multiple inning situations.
Mm-hmm.
They use 2 innings on multiple occasions. So that's added value too.
Yep.
So it's and for a package like that, if you can do that, it's something you can't walk away from. You have to consider that.
Yeah.
They're asking for the moon for Luzardo. He's got 3 years of control. They're not asking for the moon for Cabrera. He's got 5 years of control. So that to me matters too.
Absolutely.
So, and it's definitely a trade. I'm on board here with Pastor. That's definitely a trade that has to be, if entertained, if it's available.
Yeah,
I agree. Hey guys, we got 52 people in the building watching. Thank you guys for coming and chilling with us. Please smash that like button as we continue the conversation. So let's go on to some of the latest Yankees trade rumors. We've heard Snell. We've heard Cease. We've heard that. We've heard all of it. Now they're saying that they are, or Bob Nightingale reported that they are in on Luzardo and Shane Bieber. Now, there are 2 targets on the free agent market that the Yankees have been linked to, and then there are 3 on the trade market that the Yankees have been linked to. Snell and Monty on the free agent market, and then Cease, Luzardo, and Bieber for the trade market. What do you guys think happens, and when do you think it happens? What do you think of the latest trade rumors?
I don't think anything happens until before Friday, until the figures come out. I think the teams need to have some more information. Free agency, I think I think Boris is gonna push Snell out, try to increase his market. Monty, I think he's got a limited market too, but I think all signs are pointing towards him potentially going back to Texas. So, but I mean, if I'm them, I'm calling up the Brewers. Because if you look at arbitration figures, I mean, Burnes is looking at about 15, 16 million. Bieber's at 14. So 13, 14. So there's only $1 million or $2 difference. And if I'm choosing between the two, it's going to be Burnes all day, every day over Bieber. So he would be, I mean, of the trade, and we don't know that confirmed that Burnes is available. If he is, who is a better pitcher than him that's available in a trade?
Nobody.
So
if you're talking youth-wise, you could look to some of Miami's kids, but if you're talking all around, I would say there's not really anyone better.
But Snell is 31, Burnes is 29, so he's got age advantage over Snell too. And if I'm going to pay somebody $30 million a year, keep in mind if they extend him somehow, that's not going to start until next year when more money's coming off the books next year. Yeah. So the landscape will be a little bit different for a guy like Burnes. But at the end of the day, I mean, if anybody signed, I think Monty will sign before Snell. Okay. The other guys, I could see. I mean, I think they need to drop the asking price for Luzardo to make it realistic.
Absolutely.
I could see anybody being traded as Cabrera from the Marlins.
I think the asking price for Luzardo and Cease have to come down. They got to come back. They've got to come back to earth. They've got to come back down into reality because they're not going to get what they're paying for them.
Well, exactly. And we've said this too. Like, look, we got Soto, who has a track record, and we didn't give up Jones or Dominguez. Why in the world would I give him up for Dylan Cease? Yeah. He doesn't have a track record like these guys do. Yeah, he throws 30 games a year. Okay, he's got that. That essentially he can throw innings, but he fluctuates up and down. When he's really, really good, he's really good. When he's really bad, he's really bad. So, and why would I do that for him?
It's not worth it. And honestly, if we look at everything that's out there, there's not really an attractive enough name to get the checkbook out and actually spend that kind of money. Yeah. If you want to put it that way. Is Snell a big name? Yes, he just won the NL Cy Young. This is his second Cy Young award that he's won. Okay? But regardless of that doesn't mean that he is going to get paid what he wants. Boris can push it all he wants, but it's not Boris's decision. It is the team who is trying to get him. It is their decision. It's like a game of chess. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's how we have to look at it. That's what negotiations are. It's a game of chess. Now, when it comes to the trade market, then it's different because now you're looking into the aspect of who's available, who's being made available, and how much is it really going to cost us? Mm-hmm. So if you want to think about, let's take Edward Cabrera. He's got 5 years of control left. He is a far better pitcher than Jesus Luzardo. He hasn't had the type of issues that Luzardo has had, but, I mean, he's only been in the league for about a year. But he's considerably younger, not considerably younger, but considerably better for being at the same age as Luzardo. So I think all of that has to play a factor into what goes into this.
Yeah, all these little pieces, like even Corbin Burnes, he has a strained and he's a Boris Klein too. He's a strained relationship with the Brewers, right? You know, he's already said that he's not going to re-sign with them. So it should be a good time to call these guys. And they have a good farm. They don't need outfielders. They need middle infield help. We have immediate middle infield help for them. Would be Cabrera, Peraza, and whatnot. So we have pieces we can offer them. And I would even add the only team I would offer Clayton Beater for would be for the Brewers for Corbin Burnes. I wouldn't offer him for pretty much anybody else. So I would package him, a Peraza, a Cabrera, and maybe a Ron Marinaccio or something like that for Corbin Burnes.
Yeah. That might get it done.
And at the very least, and I think Cashman is waiting because he's also an arbitration player, Corbin Burnes. So I think I would expect Cashman to be placing conference calls and phone calls on Friday or this coming weekend. So Corbin Burnes seems to represent probably an easier get than Dylan Cease, probably an easier get or more sensible get than Shane Bieber. And at the end of the day, he's probably the most logical get. Him and Edward Cabrera, the most logical gets in trades for the Yankees.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What about you, Tats?
Yeah. Well, the thing with Burnes, he already it came out. Not only is he not willing to, he's not. He said he's going into free agency, regardless of the team that he's on.
Yeah.
So he already said that he announced to the world, "Look, I'm only going to be a rental. Long term, you're gonna have to worry about me next off season." He's not going to negotiate during the year. So for me, that lowers his price.
Yeah.
I think for some of the names that are being thrown out, I don't think it's going to – I think that statement that he made really put the Brewers, in a tough spot because they can't ask for the world now.
Exactly.
No, it's not like you can get a trade and a sign. No, you can't sign and trade them.
And that can give
So,
cash. Yeah.
Exactly. That was my next statement, Jason. Now, every other team now has leverage on the Brewers. You're going to lose them, so you're going to want to get something for them. How stubborn do you want to be? Because this is what I'm offering. I would offer up a Peraza. They need the immediate infield help. I would. What's Cabrera's role on the team next year?
Don't know.
He's the kind of guy that seems. He's that super utility guy that's kind of lost in the wind here.
Yeah, you're right.
He can have value, but because there's nowhere to, he doesn't fit in any specific area. He really doesn't have value when you really cut it down. Cut the layers back.
Yeah.
So he might be a guy that you throw in just to kind of tilt the leverage a little bit.
And
I think it's gonna be expensive. It's the trade. Not that it's expensive. It's gonna hurt.
No doubt about it. It's gotta hurt.
Trades like that hurt.
Yep.
We had the same conversation with Soto.
Yep.
It's a necessary move. It's gonna hurt. If they're being stubborn and they're like, well, if you're not including Jones, well then I'm not answering the calls anymore.
Yeah. And I want to touch on something that Jason said earlier about Luzardo and his health. That also plays a major role because the Marlins are asking for the fucking world for Luzardo, but he's had an injury history. He has an injury problem with his elbow. So why do they think they're going to get the world for him when they know he has an injury history? And it's the same thing. Corbin Burnes has, as far as I know, has not had a stint on the IL, but because of his statement of, I am not signing an extension even if I get traded, that automatically lowers the value. And I agree with Tats 100%. Now they can't be like, oh, well, I want this. No, hanging up the phone. I'm not doing that. You want to play that? Fine. But I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to JJ's comment, that we made the deal, we traded for Soto knowing that he wasn't going to extend. That's why I'm not doing it with Burnes. We already are taking a gamble with one player. Yeah. I'm very hesitant to do it for two. 2 rentals in one season, despite their caliber of talent. I'm not saying Burnes isn't worth the move, but we can't. I can't see the Yankees wanting 2 rentals at that higher price. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Business wise, it makes no sense.
It really doesn't make any sense. You're right. And
Like the only way I would do that, if you have like Judge and Cole in their final years, and they're still and you want to give them one last championship on their way out, then you empty the tank and you get like 09. They emptied the tank to get George one more win. It would have to be that level of a situation for me to empty the farm. Otherwise, I'm being very hesitant because our farm hasn't been this healthy as far as depth and talent in a while.
And to your point, that's the guys that we're even talking about, like Oswaldo, Peraza. These guys aren't even on the farm; they're in the major league level.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't really affect the farm as much as some folks think. A little bit, sure, and it has to, but it would clear roster spots as well for them to make other moves. Because these guys are all on the 40-man. So, but like you said, two rentals is a tough proposition. And they're both Boris clients. So, makes it even tougher.
Especially a rental that doesn't play every day. It's a rental.
Yeah.
It's a rental for every 5 days, maybe 6, depending on the schedule.
Well,
that's
like
tough.
if they really want to put themselves in a position to win the World Series or get to the World Series this year, there's really not a better guy to add to the rotation than Corbin Burnes. So,
absolutely.
Nope.
So with using that, that kind of bit of information, it's definitely worthwhile gambling for this year. And what you're giving up, they're not giving up Jones, they're not giving up Chase Hampton or freaking Will Warren. So I'm okay giving up the other guys because they're blocked here anyway. They already have built in. They already traded for Ross's replacement with Yorba Davis from the Dodgers. We had the replacement already. So. Narvaez, he'd be one of the catchers, or somebody else would be one of the catchers. Like we have 5, and if Cabrera, they have 8 guys who can replace Cabrera in the outfield. So
there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot that has to be looked at. And do I think that the Yankees are done? No, I've said this many times. As of you, Jason, Tats, I'm sure you've probably said it yourself. The Yankees are not done. There's no way they can be done.
No.
You don't go out, trade for Verdugo, Grisham, and Soto, and then call it quits. No. You don't do it. That's not how that works. And he came out and said the other day that he was willing, or he gave the green light to go past the Steve Cohen luxury tax threshold.
Yep.
That right there says he doesn't care anymore. It's done. It's a done deal. He's going to pay what he needs to, and he's going to get the pieces he needs to win.
Yeah, that's kind of the angle I'll be going into tomorrow morning, but I'll give you guys a little teaser on it. When the all season first started, we were all in on Soto, the deal is made, and all of us like, the empire's back. Right? The evil empire rises. And then we missed out on Yamamoto, which the Yankees very rarely miss out on a guy they target that hard.
That's
usually if they go that hard on a player, it's like that's why up until the 13th hour, the Yankees were always the favorite to land him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of gone quiet. We've made some acquisitions for depth pieces and little guys here and there. They have to strike again.
Yeah.
Cashman and Howe need to collaborate, and they need the Empire to strike one more time because it is not looking well for a lot of the fan base since it's been so quiet.
Especially now who signed Hernandez today, they're going to be even more upset.
Oh, I know, right? That's why I said for a guy that wasn't even on our radar, Jason.
Yeah,
we're like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but because it's the Dodgers, and they think that nobody else should even bother playing the season because nobody can beat them.
Yeah,
it's why it's the everyone's like, that's it. the offseason went from an A to an F.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the matter of because of Teoscar Hernandez, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
Jason, we've been around long enough. We know it's comment.
Dodgers got to get past the Diamondbacks. They got to get past the Braves. You get the American League. You got to get past.
Don't sleep on the Braves, man. The Braves, look, the Dodgers have some competition.
Yeah.
You know, it might not be the same division, but hey, the NL right now, it goes to Arizona. They were the ones that were in the dance last year.
Yep.
Jason, what did I tell you on my last stream and your stream about the Dodgers that they needed?
Bats.
Yeah. And what else did I say they needed? They needed back of the bullpen help because that bullpen is a fucking disaster. Let me ask you, I want to ask the chat something, and Tats, I want to get your opinion on this, but who is the bridge to Kelly in that bullpen? Because Kelly is the bridge to Gratterall, so who's the bridge to Kelly? Who is going to get the ball to Kelly from that bullpen without blowing or giving Dodger fans a heart attack? Because I can't think of anybody right now.
No.
They'll sign one of these guys. There's a lot of relievers on the market. They'll sign somebody.
They'll sign someone.
They're going to try, and there's people talking about them signing Hader. Go ahead. Sign Hader.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I had the same feeling, Jason. I'm like, they're gonna sign Hader. They're gonna slot Joe Kelly back into the 8th inning, and that'll be their 1-2 punch.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll be, if they can get the lead to those two guys, that success rate's gonna have more wins than losses.
Mm-hmm.
But they still need the offense to get them to that.
Yeah, they don't have another corner outfielder because Margot's probably going to play center. You just got Teoscar. He hasn't been the same since he left Toronto, so it was almost like an overpay for him. And then you've got Jason Hayward, who's not going to play every day because he can't stay healthy. So the Dodgers are all sorts of a hot mess right now.
Yeah.
So all this talk about, the Dodgers have this, the Dodgers, great. Whatever. They have not done near. Oh, and Rob said that they are.
Oh, Jesus Christ, with this deferred money.
Whatever. Go right ahead.
So they have not even remotely deepened their lineup like the Yankees have. So let's not even go down that road because that's not even a topic of conversation. Yeah. The only thing that they've done was bolstered that starting rotation. And even that's not even fully bolstered because
Ohtani's not pitching this year.
Glasnow's got a glass arm. He can't stay healthy.
Dustin May's coming off Tommy John. Buehler's coming off Tommy John. The other guy, Julio Urias, he's being investigated for domestic assault. So he's not going to be back. Kershaw is not back until August because he had shoulder surgery. So they're still
they are still a long ways away.
They're a while away.
What were you going to say?
When you break it down, I never really broke it down to that level. They're
I don't care.
Why do they think that they already have everything on?
I don't care that
they got so much work to do.
I don't care that they've spent over $1 billion because guess what? What has it gotten them?
Yeah.
2 pitchers?
Like JJ said. Dodgers are either going for a championship or bankruptcy.
It sounds like bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Because
if they spend
if you think about it, they got a guy who's got a glass arm who I don't even know if he's pitched over 180 innings before or if he's even gotten close to it. You've got a guy who's unproven, and then you've got a guy who's not even going to pitch this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's
insanity.
Yeah, at least they have, Ohtani's bat and Teoscar's bat to add to Mookie and Freeman. Keep in mind, Freeman's 34. He's not 27.
No, he's not.
Older too. So, guys are older. And
we're not picking on the Dodgers. We're pointing out the flaws that they have. It's a very simple.
Believe me,
they have flaws.
we're more vicious towards our own flaws. Never mind any other team's flaws.
Yeah. We don't troll Dodgers channels. We don't troll Dodgers channels.
We're not trolling them. We're calling them out on the stuff that they have flaws on.
Yeah.
It's not
And
that
it's more the media hype on the Dodgers than the Dodgers themselves.
Actually, the media is hyping them up to be the super team. They're nowhere near a super team right now.
Yep.
As much as Betts is going to be 30 this year, Benji. Great question. Betts is about to be 30 this year.
Yep. I wouldn't hand them the World Series.
The Dodgers are having. Look, I think that between the three of us, we could all agree. Yes, the Dodgers are having a phenomenal offseason.
Absolutely,
they are addressing needs. They're being aggressive. They're spending the money. We wish our team was doing it, but all we're saying is they still have a lot of work to do.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's all that conversation was about.
Yeah,
and believe me, we're not saying that the Yankees are the team to go through to win the World Series. Absolutely not.
Anything away from the Dodgers.
We're just trying to get back to being a playoff team.
Yep.
Yep.
We're not even taking anything away from the Dodgers. We're just saying that they've got needs that they still need to address, which whenever they get around to addressing it, if they get around to addressing it, will be a whole different story. So
and that's also the fun of being a sports fan. Our life meaning is to overreact to everything. If we win the World Series, we're never going to lose one again. If we lose out on the World Series, we're never going to win one again.
Yeah.
That's just the life of a sports fan. This is why it's why I like when other fans of other teams are on the streams.
Absolutely.
Because it does offset the conversation. So guys, keep the conversation coming.
I mean,
we welcome it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. So with that being said, how can the Yankees from here on out go into the rest of this offseason and make it an even more successful one than it already is now? I mean, it's already been successful because we upgraded the bats, which is what we needed to do. We got Grisham, Verdugo, and Soto. What do they need? What is the next thing that they do, or should they pivot to, like pitching-wise and team-wise, if they're going to make a trade, or free agent-wise? What do they have to do to be creative to make this team have a much more successful offseason? Not saying it hasn't been already, but what do they have to do?
I think it would be, for the Yankees, I mean, you either trade for a starting pitcher and a reliever who happens to be a closer, or you trade a starting pitcher and you sign a closer in free agency. If they want a back end guy, I mean, you've got options. Snell's not Snell. Hader's not the only option out there.
No.
You've got Robert Stevenson. You've got Jordan Hicks. You've got these other guys who can capably hold down the ninth inning. So I think any of them would be a fit. Okay, so it doesn't have to be Hader.
It could be Hicks.
It could be Hicks. It could be Robert Stevenson too. Like, it could be one of these guys. And the Yankees have already added 2 relievers, and they have 2 coming back. So they're both going to be fortified, right? And so it leaves them to have to focus on starting pitching. Now, you can either bring in 2 guys or 1 really good guy.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't know what that's going to be yet. But, going back to the Dodgers, Yamamoto isn't guaranteed to be an ace. Okay.
No.
So let's just put that out there. Okay.
Ohtani's not guaranteed that elbow is going to hold up.
Not guaranteed. Exactly. Not guaranteed the elbow is going to hold up either. So, I mean, it doesn't really. And then again, the Dodgers have different needs than the Yankees. They play in a different division.
Yeah.
Okay. If they were in the AL East, they wouldn't be dominating the AL East with that roster.
Yeah.
Put it that way too. It's a different division. It's a different style of baseball. Different needs, right? The Yankees needed certain things. The Dodgers needed certain things. Okay, they addressed them differently. The Dodgers attack pitching. The Yankees attack bats. Now they're switching it around, right?
Yep.
So and that's totally fine. So, again, at the end of the day, you got to stay healthy, you got to produce, and all these types of things. It doesn't really matter what people's opinions of a super team are. I don't want a super team. I want a championship team.
It's
Okay.
quality, not quantity.
Super teams on paper. I don't give a shit what a super team on paper is. I want them to win a championship. Period.
It's about quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
you and I have talked about this also when we have spoken. What do you think the Yankees need to do to get this offseason even more successful than it is now?
I think to be successful, you need to get a number 2 starter, whether it's Snell in free agency or Burnes or even
Cabrera?
Miami Cabrera. And you got to get a closer. And I'm with you, Caputo. I said it weeks ago, months ago. After Soto, their priority was 2 starters and a closer. If you're able to get 1 starter and the closer, and Warren is in your rotation to start the season, I don't think the Yankees take an L on the offseason for that.
Well, Caputo, to your point too, I don't know who's sucking off Soto. We got him. We're happy. That's it. The fact is, there's still 6 weeks left in the offseason. You're telling us they're done. Probably not right.
No, the excitement over Soto is we finally have somebody with enough pop, enough bat control, patience at the plate to back up Judge.
Yeah, we're excited.
We haven't gotten it from Stanton, so now we actually have somebody that can do it.
We're excited about him.
That's where the hype is.
So it's not a bad thing. But again, you wait until the end of the offseason, until spring training starts. If they haven't done anything, then you can start talking. They're not done yet. They've already improved. They've already increased. They've added 2 relievers. They bolstered their bullpen. They bolstered their starting outfield, their starting lineup. They bolstered their backup players, infield depth, outfield depth. So they've improved in a lot of areas. And not every move needs to be sexy. Not every move needs to be a star move, right? So, but I encourage you to think about that as well. Okay, we love that we got Soto too. What else have the Yankees done? They've added 2 relievers. Like I said, you need to listen, Caputo. Okay? Listen. Talk less, listen more. Okay?
Yeah, it's the infield. But what's the problem with the infield? But look at the lineup overall. Okay, in the lineup itself, what was the one thing that's been killing us for years?
Bats that can
offense. Not having a deep lineup.
Yep.
We now have a deep balanced lineup with lefty bats now. So you're going to have better run support for the pitching staff, which is also going to take a lot of the pressure off of them. I mentioned this earlier, and I know we have some new people in here, so I'll recap on that. The pressure that's why we need a more formidable rotation. So we don't always have to overuse the bullpen every game because pitchers are only going 4 or 5 innings. That's why that's why I said to start the season we needed 2 starters and a closer. I like Holmes. I trust Holmes, but not as my closer. 7th, 8th inning, I'll take Holmes every game. I don't care. I think he's legit. Mm-hmm. He can't mentally. He can't handle the closer role, but I like Holmes. We need it, and that will also. When you do not have to have a perfect inning, because if you give up a run, you feel like the offense is going to struggle. Who did we have around Judge last year when Rizzo went down? We had Billy McKinney, Trevor Bauer. We had Bauer, and that was the other guy.
Louis Calhoun.
Right? Now we have Soto and Verdugo around Judge. Which that alone should make you feel a lot more confident.
Yep.
So The Yankees, to me, are going to do one of three things. They're going to either sign Snell and then trade for a Cabrera or a Bieber or a Cease when the asking price comes down, if it ever does. Or they're going to trade for two pitchers, or they'll sign a starter, trade for a starter and a reliever. So one of those three things will happen. My guess is they'll probably sign a starter, and then they will trade for a starter and a reliever. Who that is, I don't know. Snell looks like it's more likely to happen just because of what Hal has said and the fact that, at this point he is saying go over the threshold. So in that sense, it's very warming and very exciting to hear that he's willing to break that threshold because he hasn't in years past. Before it's been like, oh no, we want to stay under the luxury tax threshold, But now he's coming out and saying it's time to stop that. It's time to make a change. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're all sensible takes in all honesty. Like, again, sticking to the basics here, like, we all know that the Yankees are going to address pitching, right? We all know that the prices are really high right now. So we also know that Cashman's not going to sit here and bite on an overpay just to please fans. Okay? He's not going to do that. He never does. So let's stop expecting that. Okay? And this is this type of stuff that certain fans don't want to hear, but they have to. So again, like Holmes was not a sexy trade. Fans were super angry when we traded Hoy Park for Clay Holmes. Like they were jumping off roofs. And where's Hoy Park now? No idea. Okay, and he was an exciting player at the time, but Clay Holmes has gone from a mid-5 ERA to a mid-2 ERA here. He's gotten better. Wandy Peralta's gotten better. Okay, and they just added a righty reliever with 3 years of control. They added a lefty reliever with 3 years of control. That matters. It doesn't have to be called Hader. It doesn't have to be called Devin Williams. These guys matter. They have 3 years of options. Okay, and again, infusing young, controllable players with other guys who are likely going to be expensive, these are improving around the margins that nobody really talks about. And it does matter, okay? These are impactful moves. Their bench has gotten a hell of a lot better. To Tatz's point, like, you got Oscar Gonzalez now, you got Trent Grisham, you have these guys potentially on the bench. It's a hell of a lot better than Franchi Cordero and Calhoun and McKinney and so on and so forth. So we've got better players on the bench waiting to come in. We've got better defense in the outfield, which aids the run prevention side of baseball, not only run manufacturing with our own offense. Okay, so they'll be better at preventing runs, maybe keeping the score down too. Okay, so they've gotten better in a lot of areas, and I honestly wish more people talked about that because it does matter. It really, really does matter. So I don't know if you guys agree with Tats. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I think what they've done is they're not as much as you all want them to get. We want a Hall of Famer in every position. That's not realistic. They've addressed the needs. I think that's why I'm not saying they've had a super, a great offseason. They've had a calculated offseason.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
And there's still a month to go before pitches and catches. Yep. So there's still a lot of time. Like Jason pointed out earlier, we're going to know more come Friday into the weekend with all the arbitration hearings, and the deadlines for that. And so, yeah, it's always there's such an ebb and flow to and ups and downs in the MLB offseason. One, it's too damn long.
Yeah.
But that it is what it is. There's nothing to do about that.
Yep. And
there's still plenty of time to do everything, to make significant moves.
And to your point too, Tats, the Yankees were kind of uncharacteristic. Over the last 10 years or so, they waited until late in the offseason to make moves. They acted so early this offseason that it looks like they haven't done anything in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Because those are the big moves that they made like week 1 of the offseason. They haven't really done any moves of that magnitude. But the fact is, all the big starting pitchers, they're still on the market. Nobody's signing them. All the big trade targets on the market, not being traded yet. So it's not only the Yankees, it's the other teams not biting on the overpays too. Not biting on the sky high prices. So I think that's gives us better perspective too.
Look at Cody Bellinger. He doesn't even have a team yet, and spring trainings are right around.
When was the last time you heard his name on the back page?
Exactly.
Oh.
With Yamamoto, you still had Snell on the market, with 2 Cy Youngs on his roster, on his resume, and nobody, and he was an afterthought for everybody.
Yeah.
He was our backup. He was our backup plan. It's and to Michael Ryan's point, then you have the Montage type. They get stupid money for having done nothing. $16 million after all the issues, the health issues, sucking in New York, pitching an inning and a third. I think it was an inning and 2. I think he had 4 or 5 batters he faced.
Yeah.
And got $16 million a year. It's crazy.
The Yankees did offer by the way.
I'd rather the Yankees sit and wait right now.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Pay you want the next top guy on the market? Well, that's Snell. You're going to pay him $40 million a year.
I'm not paying $40 million.
Saying for argument's sake to some of these, well, just be aggressive. Just get the players. If they fill the need. But if their asking price is so high, ride it out until it comes down a little bit. Supply and demand.
Mm-hmm. And less GMs are going to bite on these overpays now that they know the asking price is through the roof. Like for Cease, it's through the roof.
Yep.
So for Luzardo, it's through the roof. Why would any GM bite on that?
Yeah, I wanted Cease. I think he'd be great in New York. I think that he'd do very well. I think what happened with Cease is he had a fall-off year because the White Sox were such disarray.
White Sox.
I think you put him back on a competitive team, he's right back to where he was supposed to be.
I would agree.
But I'm not giving up freaking Jones for him. There's no way.
No,
I'm not even giving.
He's not that good.
Yeah. I'm not giving up Jones.
Monty's still on the market.
Yep.
I honestly think that he's giving Texas the benefit of the doubt, and Monty is waiting out the TV deal for Texas, and at that point, they will. He's going to let them have the first crack.
Yeah,
and if they can't work out a deal, then he'll entertain other teams.
Yeah, and then once Texas solidifies his TV deal, these players will have a better idea, and their agents will have a better deal what they can afford. They'll have a better idea what these guys can afford to pay. So I'm not surprised that guys like Montgomery are waiting this out. It makes sense to. It absolutely makes sense to.
Supply and demand. There's a lot of pitching on the market.
Yeah.
Teams know that they know that teams still have a month.
Yeah.
They're going to try to they're going to ride this out. I bet you Snell and Monty. It wouldn't surprise me if it was like a week before spring training. They finally, it's going to go. I think you're going to get a week into pitches and catches before they're signed. That's my guess.
They don't have to sign until then anyway. So
they're going to wait. They're going to wait for teams to be desperate to put up the money.
Yep, and that's exactly why they have represented by Boris, because he preys on these teams. And he's the best at it. So
he knows he can get the most money out of teams. Because he knows he can milk every dime out of them. Because, Tats, I don't know if you know this, but he makes 5% off of every contract that one of his guys signs.
I'm in the wrong business.
You know how much he made off of Cole's contract? Roughly?
$16 million.
$16 million off of that's 5% of what Cole was making that goes to Boris. He made $16 million off that deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the wrong line of work there.
Yeah.
Jesus. Again, we understand that for the folks that are listening in the comments, like being patient is not the easiest thing in the world as Yankee fans. We know that, okay? But I think it's important to have a combination of that and realism too. Like it's important at some point, and I encourage people to do it. We're not telling you what to do, but it's important to have some kind of exercising common sense and reality, because at the end of the day, there's a reason why these people are on the teams and GMs and we're not. So like, that's just the key. And Scott, I mean, Brian Cashman knows the market. He knows how to read the market better than a lot of people do. So, and I think to CWE's point, he was saying he hasn't drafted anybody except for Judge. Well, he drafted, he signed Dominguez internationally. He drafted Volpe. He drafted Spencer Jones. Those are all Brian Cashman guys. Every one of them. Every person we're talking about right now was drafted or signed by Brian Cashman.
Demon, I want to know why do you want Cashman fired? This I'm not understanding. I mean, what did he do so wrong this offseason that is warranting his firing? Let me know why you want him fired, and we'll discuss that. And then Michael Ryan brought up Trevor Bauer. And I am going to grant him that by discussing it because it's a fair question, fair topic. Trevor Bauer, we know has his own demons and his own baggage and everything else that came. So, would you be willing to take a chance on him? Or do you think it's going to cause too much of a conflict?
Wow.
A week ago, I wanted no part of him. I thought he'd be just the baggage of it. I wasn't. I just don't like the guy. I think he's got a poor attitude. I listened to his interview on The Fan with Tiki and Tierney, with Tiki and Licata.
Mm-hmm.
Who's it? Whatever it is. You know the dude I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of changed my mind a little bit. So I think that he's got a phenomenal mind for baseball. He's very calculated. I also believe in redemption. I think everybody deserves a second chance in life. A lot of us have had a second chance. Some guys haven't. Is New York the market for him to prove himself? I don't know. That's the Yankees' decision.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
But my take is, BT and Sal Mello. Thank you. I think that if it's, I would give him a 1-year prove it deal. I really would. I know my instinct tells me, because he still sees himself as a top 15 pitcher in the world. He's going to want to get paid. When they asked him if he was still an ace in the major leagues, his answer was, "That's not for me to decide. It depends on which team signs me and where my role is." He seemed very humble.
Yeah.
So that persuaded me. I'm like, maybe it's somebody the Yankees should look into. As far as with the personal stuff, I just don't think that.
It's a decision.
I don't want to. Yeah, that's where it gets a little muddy.
I think the Yankees have to ask themselves a couple of questions. To your point, Tats. Like, number one, is he still an ace? He was an ace 3 years ago. That's 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He's got to prove it. Secondly, do we get him as a secondary option, because we're not going to get him over Burnes or before any of these other guys? So, and another question is he going to be enough of a distraction? Is it going to prevent us from re-signing Juan Soto, right? Do we want this type of distraction that's going to make it more difficult to re-sign Soto? And is it going to, is Cole going to be happy about this too? So, and as the other teams, because he will. The fact is, he's not Juan DeFranco. Okay, frankly, this is a different story. He's been cleared criminally. Okay, so I give him credit for that. But the baggage that he brings, I think he would be better suited for a smaller market right now, rather than New York.
I agree.
So, and that's just my opinion too. Like, but I think you send him to a Diamondbacks and they're on something like that. You send him to Texas. You send him to a different team, right? Where he can go there and not be the guy. Like, he's not going to be the guy in Texas. He won't be the guy in Arizona. Like, he won't be the guy, in a lot of these places. So, and the microscope in New York is so much different than in these other places too. So he would have every microscope on him, and if he sneezes and farts at the same time, people are going to talk about it. People, anything like that, right? So anything he does that's not considered ideal or whatever you want to call it is going to be amplified in New York. Is it worth it? Is the question. I'm not doubting his talent. He's won the Cy Young Award here, so like, there's no doubting his talent. He's got to prove that he's an ace, though. Like he said, he was right. He said something that we're going to decide. Yes, he's right. So a 1-year prove-it deal will probably be the best option for him right now, so he can prove it. So, but do I think he deserves a second chance? Yeah, I think he deserves a second chance in majors. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do I think it's going to be the Yankees? No, I don't. I think someone will give him a chance, though.
Yeah.
I think, he could maybe go to a team like Pittsburgh or something on a cheap deal. Maybe Baltimore on a cheap deal. But I don't think it's going to be in New York where he gets that. I think he's got to prove it somewhere else. He's got to prove that he can do it still, and just show, teams around the majors that he still has it. So,
yeah, I'm with Texas.
Well, the other one more thing with Bauer with the interview with BT and Sal. When they asked him if you had to go to, they had said, well, if the Yankees and the Mets both called you, which team would you prefer? And he said the Mets. And he goes, and the reason was he's never had a conversation with anybody in the Yankee organization through his career.
That's a fair point.
So, but he's had conversations with the Yankees, but not under this regime. But he's more familiar with the Mets process than the Yankee process. So I also found it interesting that, the Yankees have never, he was only in that free agency once. But the Yankees, they've never had a conversation before. I thought that was also, I don't think New York's really on his radar. I think he was using the New York market to promote himself, on his redemption tour.
Can't blame him for it. So
that's okay if he doesn't want to play here. He is trying to. He's being humble about it. He's being honest about it. He's not being a dickhead about it. So you got to give him the credit where credit is due, and it's something that it's something that you've got to give him credit for because he is being honest about it.
Yep. To Angelo's point here, all talk and no actions by the Yankees. The Yankees aren't the ones talking.
The media is speculating.
Media is, not the Yankees. The Yankees don't talk. They don't leak. So I think it's important to recognize that, Angelo. You might not, but I think it's important to do that.
Aiden Showman hasn't signed anywhere yet. He wanted to get a contract from the Yankees, but the Yankees told him to go kick rocks. So I don't know if you heard about that, Jason, but
Stroman, yeah, he said he wanted to come to the Yankees, and I'm not surprised. He also a different type of baggage, but he brings baggage. I mean, when he came to the Mets and he had a parting of the ways, he was trashing fans, and he's blocked like 80% of Yankee fans on Twitter, and
yeah.
So he's had his own social media runs, and he's like a little social media diva. So, and again, I think the Yankees want to go for a little bit more maturity.
Yeah.
And I think character is going to matter to them. So at the end of the day, do I doubt his durability? No, he's a durable pitcher. Right? He can get it done. But do I think he would help the Yankees? Sure, but I don't think he's the right fit here.
Yeah, I agree.
Nah, no way. Look, you can't tell the team and the fan base to go F themselves and to be like, oh, I want to come back.
Exactly.
Like, no. You burned that bridge.
You burned that bridge a long time ago.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And the Yankees are smart. Staying clear.
The other problem with this offseason, it really wasn't a strong class of free agents.
Nope.
So yeah, it may look like the Yankees haven't done much, but besides, Soto wasn't a free agent. Yeah, that was a trade.
Mm-hmm.
You had Yamamoto, which we wouldn't know he was going to be a free agent until he was posted.
Yep.
So that was a question mark. Hader, I guess, would be one of the top. He would be in the top. Of the class.
Mm-hmm.
Snell, Monty. Like you're not talking about world beaters here.
It's not a great class for pitching. You're right.
Yeah. Like I even said with Yamamoto, he's not prime Pedro. He's not prime Maddox, not prime Randy Johnson. So I think it's important to stop treating him like he is.
Absolutely.
Like he is. Those guys are proven. Those guys are all Hall of Famers. This is a different situation. You got to prove it at this level. Okay? He could turn out to be a bust for all we know. We don't know. We don't know. And I think he'll be good. Yeah, but, I'm not going to treat him like he's Nolan Ryan. No way. Why would I do that? So, and again, so JJ's asking if Roki Sasaki's coming. Here's the other thing with Roki Sasaki, okay? There's no guarantee he's getting posted next year, right? Okay, I know people are talking about this clause in his contract. Read the clause. It allows him to ask, but doesn't require the team to post. Okay? And that's a very important fact. And the fact is, and I've talked to Mike about this, why would a team walk away from tens of millions of dollars to post them early? Because he would be subject to the international funding, which is amateur. Okay, it's not MLB contract. Yeah. If you wait until he's 25, you're subject to MLB contracts. You can cash in immediately. If he does amateur, he's going to have to do 3 years of pre-arb and 3 years of arb. That's the way it works. That's what Ohtani did. Okay, so the major league team would benefit, sure, because they get him on the cheap for 6 years, and then you can walk away from him if you want. But why would his team do that? Why would his team do that? That's the question. So it's not a sure. I don't care what anybody said, JJ. It's not a sure thing.
Yeah, nothing's a guarantee.
Okay. It's nothing a guarantee.
It was it looked as promising as ever. It really did. And I had said it. I'm like, we were the team until we weren't. That's just free agency. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter when the Yankees gave him a high AAV.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go over on the years,
which is understandable.
Sure.
But it didn't matter what the Yankees offered him. He was going to the Dodgers no matter what.
Yeah.
The Yankees could have offered $400 million, and he would have still gone to the Dodgers.
Exactly. So it's like we got all bent out of shape for a guy doing what he wanted to do anyway.
Yeah, and it's important to point out that they did not know what the other offers were. Yeah. Agents do not report the other offers to the teams. They're not going to say, "Oh, we got this offer from such and such." They don't do that ever. The Yankees made their offer, and it was a good offer, and it was a really good offer. But they didn't know what to do with the Dodgers offer. They didn't know that the Mets countered the Dodgers. They didn't know until after the fact. We didn't know until after the fact either. We found out the day after that the Mets matched their offer, right? It's like we found out the day after that the Blue Jays offered $675 for Ohtani, and the Giants matched his offer. We found out almost a week after that. He matched the offer, and he still didn't go to the Giants. So we find things out after the fact.
And just Caputo, they didn't trade for Soto for no reason. For the love of God, man. They didn't trade for him for no reason. If they didn't want to win the World Series or try to win the World Series in 24, they wouldn't have traded for him and Verdugo and Grisham. So your argument has no validity to it.
Just
So,
a question for you, Caputo. What would make sense in your opinion? If you were the front office, what would you do that's better? Simple question. You should be able to answer and say, they're the dumbest front office around. You should be able to do a better job. So I'm just asking you.
What would you do differently?
What would you do different and better? What would you do?
And
Okay.
Caputo, you got to stop talking so much because you didn't obviously hear what Jason said earlier. They got 3 relievers because of the Victor Gonzalez from LA in that trade. They got the dude from Miami. They got the dude from Cleveland. All have controllable years. Dylan Cease and Shane Bieber. So you'd be willing to tear the entire farm apart to get those 2, is what you're telling me. How are they not good? Have you seen them pitch?
So here's another question for Caputo. All right.
Okay.
You say you would trade. He would say he would get Dylan Cease and Shane Bieber. Who would you put into those trades? Who from the Yankees are you putting in there?
It's a fair question.
Right. Let's put your GM cap on and tell us exactly how you would orchestrate those trades.
You
Right?
can't
Because look,
right?
as much as sometimes I have low patience for the negativity. I do want to respect your opinion and have a debate about it. So just keep it civil, and we'll go back and forth with you a little bit. And here's the other one.
Oh no!
We traded for Corbin. We traded for Clay Holmes. He had a bloated year rate.
As much as I hate Cashman as a GM, he solved the biggest problem of 23. Team actually 2 of the biggest issues: depth and offense. Now it's time to get the pitch.
Thank you, LA Yankee King.
LA Yankee King, that's getting a star. That right on the money with that.
Comment of the night right there.
He's right on the money with that.
Look, we're not saying that Cashman's a good GM. He's just had a better offseason to this point than in the past. He's not sitting idle. There's just the market sucks. There's nothing out there to have this big splash.
Caputo, we've asked you multiple
I got
times.
an answer to your question, by the way, Pat.
You keep telling us stuff here. I just told you the Yankees traded for Soto because they didn't address this rotation. Soto has nothing to do
Here,
with the rotation. Like, put
you
your GM hat on and answer Tat's question.
you did, right here.
What moves would
You
you
don't
make?
go by ERA. I guess I would trade Hampton Warren
You would-
and Trump for Cease. You're out of your mind.
This is one reason why you'll never beat a GM of the Yankees. All due respect to you. No GM in baseball would trade that much for Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease is not worth half of that.
Not even Theo Epstein, he wouldn't trade all
No.
that. All due respect, but
Did you see what Brad wrote that?
Oh, my favorite critic.
Michael Caputo, you're furious. We're asking you again, who would you trade for instead of Dylan, aside from Dylan Cease, and who would you give up? You gave us your Cease proposal. What about your B proposal? And there's 6 weeks left in the offseason. Nobody's traded for Cease. Nobody's traded for Bieber.
Exactly. And
So,
Rob is right. The off season is not over. It is far from over.
6 weeks left.
That is an awful trade. Your depth is gone. Look at that right there. That's a money comment right there.
Yes,
Your depth
second
is
best
gone.
comment of the day. Another great comment. Thank you, LA Yankee King. Straight up logic right there. Straight up logic.
Straight. That
Straight logic, dude.
LI, fantastic, man. That was absolutely. So this is who you would trade for. You would trade Austin Wells, Oswald Peraza, Oswaldo Cabrera, and Roderick Arias for Bieber. I wouldn't even do that trade.
Yes. Do you actually think that's a credible trade?
No, that's not a credible trade.
Did somebody feed you that insane trade? Just out of curiosity. Did somebody
No.
feed you that one?
I have no idea, but hold on. LI had something else that he posted, which I have to put him over for this offense, and Tats will understand the reference. So I understand where Eli is going on that. He's not a Cashman fan, but he's going to give it to Cashman because he helped upgrade this offense. And he's absolutely 100% correct on that.
And I don't disagree. And like I told you, to your point too, Li, I haven't blocked you out because if you were bashing Cashman. I have hundreds of people every day that trash Cashman. And I'll just tell you this right now, okay? I blocked you because you were disrespectful to the people on the channel.
Now he's being disrespectful.
Okay? And I don't care who the person is.
No, I disbanded him because he's being disrespectful to LI Yankee King when LI's trying to prove a point. So
and LI's making good points here, okay? There's no reason to be disrespectful to LI Yankee King in that.
Yeah, no reason. I'm not doing it. Okay? We're not doing that here.
Thank you.
So yeah, I have to think that the Yankees will eventually get something done.
Yeah,
they will get something done. It's not like they aren't going to.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you said, it's going to be after Friday.
Yeah, for those that haven't heard. Arbitration and pre-arbitration figures have to be filed on Friday. So, and the majority of the people that the Yankees are talking about and the Yankee people are talking about trading for are all arbitration players or pre-arb players. So they have to file those numbers so the Yankees and the other teams can get a good idea of what these guys are going to cost. Because then they'll know
what wiggle room they have and what they don't.
Yeah, and how to structure a trade package. And again, this is one of these deadlines that are just part of the offseason, unfortunately. So, but Corbin Burnes, so was it Michael Ryan that asked? He was asking what they would, what you need. So, what we know right now is they need immediate middle infield help. So, this is where a guy like Oswald Peraza can headline the package, and he just got a fourth option, so that increases his trade value.
So did Joandres Gomez.
So did Luis Hill.
I heard about that.
All three of these guys got him yesterday. So that's great news. Great news. Gives the Yankees more flexibility to either use them or trade them.
Yeah.
So,
and it's nice because now knowing that they have these extra options, it's more or less now they know what they can do and how they can work with what they have. So that makes it a lot easier to now be like, okay, we know what we have. We know what we're working with. Now it makes it easier for us to trade some of these guys.
Yep. And to Uncle Ted here, Yankees don't need more outfielders and getting a pitcher like Bryce Miller with his controls. Yeah, we've talked about Bryce Miller, okay? He's got lots of user control, and the Mariners, they've added some outfield bats. They can use some infield bats, which is where a guy like Gleyber Torres comes into play. So a guy like Oswaldo Cabrera can come into play too. The Yankees have the pieces to get a guy like Bryce Miller. The question is, what would the Mariners want for him? But yeah, if you can get him, you're right. He's good. He's too good to pass up on.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we've talked about other guys too. Logan Gilbert. We talked about George Kirby, Brian Wu.
George Kirby would be a really nice fit for us.
He's fantastic fit. So
25 with 5 years of control. It's and that's what Jake actually brings up a good point here. Burnes is a 1-year rental. Not sure about the money, and that's fine. It's that's okay. As much as there we go.
That's serious.
And then Jonathan asked, "Do you think Luis Hill can close?" Yeah, I think he could. If it doesn't work out, here's my thing with Luis Hill: try him out in the long reliever role, right? The long man role. If it doesn't work out,
Heels.
Closer's role. Let him try it. Let him air it out for an inning. See how he does that.
He's got a big arm.
Oh, here's another interesting fact about Kirby. He was born in New York.
Oh, that's cool.
So, but this we're gonna touch on one last thing and then wrap it up. Kat, you missed the fun while you were gone.
Yeah, I'm so unfortunate about that, but
yeah. But the last topic I want to touch on is where do you think Snell goes and at what price?
I think Snell goes to New York. I think it's going to be between, whether it's the Yankees or the Mets is still up in the air. I think the Yankees should offer him, like Rob said, 6 years, 180 with a third year opt out. If he takes it, he takes it. If not, let him go somewhere else. I'm not getting into a bidding war, despite even though he has the 2 Cy Youngs.
Yep.
That's the reason that I'm even giving him an offer, because I don't like his innings.
Yeah.
That's why he was not on my radar when the offseason started. But we're getting near the tail end of the offseason, and like they say, desperate times call for desperate measures. But I'm not making a deal out of desperation. I'm willing to go out of my comfort zone to inquire about certain guys and offering what I think would be a fair deal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much on the same page with Tats too. If it would be either New York team, not bad after 3 years would be great. I do think the Yankees are probably better equipped at this point with guys in pitching depth to solidify with some long relief. I don't know how deep the Mets are. I mean, they've added Sean Manaea today for 2 years.
Yeah.
They have Luis Severino, but beyond that, I don't really know what they have in the arm stable. You guys know? I don't know.
No, their rotations got more question marks than ours.
Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in Imanaga. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a deadline coming up in less than a week. So,
the 11th, I believe.
The 11th, that's right. So I wouldn't be surprised if they brought him in. And that's actually what's today, the 7th? So 4 days. He's got to come to the team. Or otherwise he goes back to Japan for a whole entire year. So doesn't have much time. So we're going to get Imanaga news in the next 4 days, that's for sure.
So for me, I think it'll probably be 6 for 190. You give him an option, a player option for a 7th that brings it to 210, but you give him an opt out after the 4th year. Because you give Boris what he wants, which is an opt out, because he loves opt outs for his clients. You still giving Snell the money he wants, technically speaking, because if he decides not to opt out, right, and he does end up wanting to stay, and he takes that option, he still gets that 210 that he's looking for.
Yeah.
So.
But the way that the market's going, right, I'm looking at the coming from TC Steels, right? I think when and not that he's saying this, but it just made me think of it. We can't worry about what Cole's making.
Yeah.
I think that's a very negligent angle to look at, because the market increases year to year. Cole hit the market and got paid handsomely for his resume. It's not like he got a cheap deal and everybody's getting, what everybody's just, for whatever reason, making more than him. The market right now, the pitching is going to cost you.
It's inflated.
There's nothing the players can do about that.
Yep.
They can't just restructure their deal because the market adjusts itself year to year. It doesn't, other than, if they wanted to do that, just sign 1 year deals.
Yep.
And try to just, get more money year to year. You you have to pay, you get paid the contract you agreed to.
Yep. Amen. And to your point, Tats, I got some Jim Bowden reporting here. The Shota Imanaga is down to 4 teams. The Boston Red Sox, the Cubs, the Angels, and the Giants.
Okay.
I see the Giants will probably go.
Giants.
4 finalists for Shota Imanaga.
Of those teams, the Giants.
That's where I'm at too.
West Coast. I think the Giants are going to put the money up.
Yep.
They have to.
And they have to. They can't miss out on the guy.
No, man. I can see them getting Imanaga, and I can see them getting Matt Chapman too.
Yeah. I agree with that.
An arm and a bat. I could see that. But those, according to that report, those are the final 4 teams on Imanaga.
Now, I'm surprised that the Red Sox were on that list because they're selling a lot of pieces off.
He's going to be cheaper than Snell.
So I know they're trying to free up money, but they're not. They're making moves within. The Red Sox are going to be competitive. They rise to the occasion, especially within the division, right? So I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team. They just don't look like an attractive championship caliber team at this moment.
And now they're fielding
So
offers on Jimmy Jansen and Yoshida.
Yeah.
So
Jonathan just put something up, and then we're going to wrap it up. But he said Ken Rosenthal reports that the Red Sox don't seem to be in the mix for Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, the Red Sox had Almonte. That was, we were talking about that a couple weeks ago. That his wife's employment wasn't going to be a factor in the decision.
Yeah.
So I think he's going back to Texas. I think he's just given them the benefit of the doubt to
Yep.
figure out the TV deal, and then they're going to come to an agreement.
Yep.
I would agree.
I agree with that too. But anyways, guys, this is the final stop on the 4 Train Express. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight and hanging out with myself and Jason and Dane. You guys were awesome. The chat was lively. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed. I appreciate everyone who's in here tonight to, join in with us. Thank you guys all so much.
Thank
Jonathan,
you.
Chris, Brad, NFE, L.I. Yankee King, Tyler Talbot, everyone. You guys are awesome. And thank you all so much. Tats, Jason, thank you for coming on tonight. I had a great time with you guys tonight.
Pleasure.
So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your night, and I will see you on the next live.
Peace.